This is a big moment for cricket in France. The Men's World Cup trophy presented here in the Eiffel Tower among ambassadors and dignitaries from the cricketing world. Orchestrating it all, the national governing body France Cricket, chaired for over a decade by Prabhakaran Balan.
Playing and investing in cricket also means promoting values like respect, humility, hard work, rigour and self-improvement.
It's a lavish event for an association with a budget of around €500,000 a year, most of which comes from the International Cricket Council, the ICC.
France, as I mentioned earlier, are a big federation in European terms, and one whom we want to continue to partner with successfully.
But behind this success story, something else was afoot. We've talked to players, clubs and recent members of France Cricket that accuse the organisation of lying to access its ICC funds by using matches that don't exist in order to inflate the number of women and juniors playing cricket, figures which make up almost half of their ICC funding. To check these claims, France 24 attended official fixtures of the women's second division, a tournament comprising 9 teams rumoured to be fake. The final of this championship was scheduled to take place on the 16th of September in the town of Dreux, an hour west of Paris. Paris Night Riders were meant to face off against Balbignan Cricket Club. The ground, Dreux Cricket Stadium, is inside a thick forest on the site of a vast abandoned sanatorium. The scheduled start time of 2 p.m. came and went, and we saw no sign of any women. Instead, men continued to play throughout the day. 3 days later, France Cricket rubber-stamped the match as having taken place at the scheduled time and location. Balbignan were declared victorious. The club regularly celebrates their men's team on Facebook, but posted nothing about this apparent victory for the women. This is not surprising. In 3 months of investigating, we've seen no conclusive evidence of any women's second division matches actually taking place. But why might teams submit fake scorecards? One possible reason is they can get fined hundreds or even thousands of euros by France Cricket for not honouring fixtures, even though they're all amateur clubs. Finding enough women to play is difficult, so it's often easier to make up a score than to pay expensive penalties. Irma Vragno, despite being on the France Cricket Committee, spoke out against this system, saying it rewards dishonesty.
So the clubs that have fake women's team, they don't get fined. But the clubs that have real women's team and that really say when a match is cancelled, or because it's the reality, because we struggle to find a slot, because we struggle to find a ground, when we really say the truth, we get fined.
It's hard to believe France Cricket doesn't know this is happening. Most of the clubs in the women's second division have at least one France Cricket board or committee member in their ranks. We contacted the association multiple times to ask whether they were knowingly misrepresenting the level of women's cricket in France to the ICC and got no response. France Cricket has not been the subject of any legal proceedings to date. But the ICC, asked if the organisation had been accessing their support on a fraudulent basis, said its members were obliged to provide true and accurate information.
We run a process to make sure that the levels of cricket activity that take place within a country, are proofed and checks and balances are in place for us. And so it wouldn't be right for me to comment on, a specific case such as the one you've just mentioned.
There are also questions around how France Cricket is spending the money it receives from the ICC. Many clubs say they receive no support. One of them is in the city of Nantes. It's the club that contributes the most players to the women's national team, and it's home to one of the few turf pitches on the continent, which volunteers spend hundreds of hours maintaining. The club's president, Sabine Nury, says France Cricket favours its inner circle of clubs in the Paris region to the detriment of the sport across France.
Nous n'avons pas de subvention de la part de France Cricket.
We don't get any funding from France Cricket. They don't help when we go to the authorities to ask for money for the pitch or for this kind of event. This association should be working to help clubs, but I don't think that's the case today.
The French Sports Ministry didn't reply to a request for comment, but they may want to take notice soon. After a hiatus of more than a century, cricket is set to become an Olympic sport once more for the Los Angeles Games in 2028. It means the sport will automatically receive high-level status by the French government, making France cricket eligible for much more public money. If that won't make the French finally take notice of this English game, then nothing will.